Hello, happy YouTubers. I hope you're having just one of the best days in your life today. Today we're going to be taking another look at Lord Dunsany's short stories. This one is called The Kith of the Elf Folk. I encountered it in this collection that we're doing a deep dive into for you all from Penguin Classics, which I'll link to you in the comments below. I'll also try to find it for you for free, so that way you can get the free version and the paid for version online, since this was written a long time ago, more than a century ago. It's past its sell-by date, so hopefully we'll be able to find it for you, and that way we'll get you taken care of. But anyway, this is by Lord Dunsany. It's a fantasy story that is set in England. It seems like it's contemporary to the time. There are children factories. There are one of the cities that takes place in is London, and it's mentioned in the story. There is a cathedral with worship actively, which seems like it's part of the Church of England. So it seems like this is set contemporaneously in England proper, which would have made sense for the Irish writer Lord Dunsany, who is an Irish person. So it would have made sense for him to put this locally on the adjacent island from where he grew up on Ireland. So this, putting it over in Great Britain would have made sense for him. He would have, been able to relate to it in the area and grows up. But basically what's happening in this short story is that we start off in this marsh setting. And this marsh is out near the rural areas of humans. And there are these wild things that are 2 feet tall that live forever and are older than the marsh itself, and they are nocturnal people that only come out at night, and they go back in hiding in the morning time, and they come out to frolic at night, and they don't have souls. And we have one of them who is a point of view character, and that person has seen the church, the cathedral, and thereof, and it's really been yearning to join the congregates there in the church. So what it wants to do is it wants to get a soul so that it can therefore join this church. So it's obviously longing for this, and it tells its people, and the people say, hey, let's do it. Basically, they at first are like, no, why would you want a soul? But then they figure out that this is something that their fellow wild thing really wants. So they set out to make a soul. And so for like a page or so, they'll make a soul for this wild thing, our protagonist. And then about page 5, surprise, our protagonist is going to get a soul that was made in the marsh by these marsh things. And then that changes our protagonist into a young girl. And now she's a young girl. And then that's sort of the beginning of the next of the act 2 of the short story. So I'll leave you there. Again, it's 5 pages into like a 16-page short story, which last night took me less than half an hour for me to read. So I'm going to be giving this, more of a 7 out of 10 than an 8 out of 10. Normally, I probably average 8 out of 10s with Lord Dunsany's works. But this one I feel is probably more like a 7 out of 12. It might be a little bit better than this. I'm sorry, 10 out of 12. So 7 out of 10. It might be a little bit better, like 7 1/3, 7 1/4, 7 1/5, something like that. But I'm rounding down. But yeah, it's probably more of a 7 than it is a proper 8. It's fine. It gets you started. It gets you caught up. But it doesn't have the sort of lasting quality that the previous 2 short stories that I've reviewed for you from this collection have had to them. It doesn't stick with, it doesn't, it's not this big giant story with these great things that are happening. It was predictable. It never shocked me. It never said, oh my gosh, look where this writer went, right? Any of that sort of thing. It was predictable where it was going. And so, but I was never bored. Lord Dunsany is a very unique writer, so you get used to him as a writer, and so it was very nicely done and nicely detailed. It just wasn't like this story that I'm going to war over, right? It's fun though, it's good, but it's more of a 7 out of 10 than it is a proper 8 out of 10. and my least favorite 3 short stories that I've read for you so far. One of those is a 7.5, the other one's a proper 8, and this one's a little bit less. It's more of a 7 out of 10. But it's still good. It's still worth your time. It's less than a half an hour for you to read it. So there you are. That is the Kith of the Elf Folk. Have you read it? What did you think of it? Did you agree or disagree with my take in any way, shape, or form? I would be more than happy to engage you with it further in the comments, whatever your view is of the short story, or my opinion on it. If you like this review, please feel encouraged to hit that subscribe button. There could be a lot more of these to follow in fantasy, like this one, science fiction, and horror. And then finally, hey, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, right? And we're pulled so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have a great day.